Day by day, blood and tears, they pave our way. Clench fists high, never kneel. Turn the blade to hardened steel. Rise and defy, never retreat. In the face of defeat, strength in heart, fire and soul.
Hey everybody, this is my new podcast. It's called Molon, Labe. This is the very first episode, so let me explain a little bit about what Molon, Labe is. If you know anything, if you've seen the movie 300, the King Leonidas with his 300 men went out to face the Persian army, and Xerxes gives Leonidas and his 300 men an ultimatum to lay down their arms and surrender, and they'll be unharmed. And they'll be basically assimilated into the Persian Empire. And King Leonidas' response was, Molon, Labe, come and take them. So that's where that comes from, and it has been adopted by the people who support the Second Amendment. Rightfully so. When people are like, we're coming for your guns. Yes, yeah, come and take them. In fact, I've heard a lot of people have been, I can't pry it from my cold, dead hands. So that's where that comes from, is come and take them. But for this podcast, it's not about just the Second Amendment. It's not about guns. In fact, it's not about those things at all. It's about rights. Our right, our freedom of speech, our freedom of religion, our freedom to the right to bear arms, our freedoms that we have in this country that seem to be infringed upon by people who have different ideals. By no means am I ever calling out, sending out a call to take action against these people. Quite honestly, in a match of wits, it's an unfair battle. Some of them don't have two brain cells to rub together. If you're wondering where I even got that from, where I've debated enough people to understand that whatever comes out of my mouth, whatever facts I can provide for people, whatever I can say, here's your proof, they go, I don't believe it. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to touch it. It contradicts what I believe, and I don't want to believe what you're telling me. So, sorry, I'm going to adjust my camera just a little bit. Yes. So this first episode, I'm actually going to kind of dedicate to the Second Amendment. If you must know, no, I'm not an avid gun guy. The closest thing I have to a gun in my house is a BB gun. But my reasons for not owning a gun are not that I think guns kill people, or guns are evil, or guns are bad, or anything of that nature. It's a more personal reason. I know I have a temper. I know that I get very angry sometimes. And the last thing that someone like me, I'm sorry, I see lights coming out through my window over here. The last thing I need when I'm having trouble controlling my temper is access to something that would cause harm to somebody. Acting irrationally and emotionally with a firearm is not on my agenda to do. So rather than have the temptation of it, I just don't own one. I have a right to not own it just as much as I have a right to own one. In fact, quite recently, I was involved in a legal issue, in which there was a firearm involved, and the defense attorney asked me if I was a gun person, and I responded with, I don't personally own a gun, but I'm not opposed to people having them. I'm not. You want to own a gun? You have the right to own one. What I have a problem with is people who, instead of using it rationally, they use it as a means of terrorizing and controlling other people around them. I don't like what you said. I'm gonna show you I have a gun, so I scare you, and you will stop doing what you're doing. That's not what it's for. The whole reason why the Second Amendment was even put into place wasn't so that people could scare people or terrorize people or whatever. My favorite argument people give me is about guns is, well, what do you need an AK-47 to go hunting for, or a AR-15 to go hunting with? Why do you need an assault rifle for that? I have to go, AR doesn't stand for assault rifle, it stands for Armalite rifle, the company who makes it. So the arguments never go over very well with me. People get mad. So the Second Amendment was put in place by our founding fathers in case the government were to become too tyrannical and basically oppress the people. That's why we have the right to bear arms. If the government decides, hey, we want to come in and take your land and you can't do anything about it, that's a tyrannical government. If the government is telling you, hey, you ate the wrong breakfast cereal, the government is now overstepping its boundaries and taking too much interest in your personal life as an individual. Our founding fathers didn't want those types of things. What they wanted was a country that the people were the source of, the people and the freedoms were the source of the government's power. We empower the government. We are the ones. So our founding fathers decided we need to make sure that if the government wants to overstep its boundaries and bring military in because they want land or they want something else or they want thing, and they infringe upon the rights of the citizens to actually own things, the people can actually take up arms against the government and fight back. That's why we have it. That's why we have it. If you take that away, what defense do we have? So these people are hollering, screaming, well, we have school shootings, we have this, we have that. What you have is a bunch of nuts. That's what you have. You have nuts, crazy people, lunatics, going around with a firearm. Is tighter gun control, tighter restrictions going to fix it? No, because, and I'll tell you this, I live in Houston. There are people, we are a crime-ridden city. There are people walking around with guns that should not have them. They're on like probation. They're a felon and they're restricted from owning a firearm, and they got one. They got one illegally. Somebody bought one for them. They bought it, from a place that doesn't do any checks, something. Someone's going to always find a way to get it. And that's what I get my argument with people, and when that happens is, if you restrict the good people from getting guns, there are bad people out there who will still sell guns to bad people. Then what are the good people going to defend themselves with? Nothing. We've got nothing. If the government decides it's going to come in and just overrun and take over everybody's property, and you're going to do what they tell you, and you have no more rights, what are you going to defend yourself with? You going to throw a rock at them? I mean, you could. You could. It's the right to defend yourself. But a rock against an automatic weapon isn't going to do much. So that's the whole point of the Second Amendment. Now, I'm bringing this up mostly because of the Charlie Kirk incident, um, a very public assassination of a father, a husband, a good Christian. I've seen his videos. I've watched his videos. I've loved his arguments. And he has defended his points with facts every time. So he tells the truth. And almost every time there's an opening, he presents the gospel. He preaches it. He does. Or he did. But because he spoke out against certain things like not wanting to support certain lifestyles because they violated it would be a compromise in his faith to support people living that way. And he spoke out against it. I'll tell you right now, I'll speak out against it too. I've told people I'll speak out against it. I do not agree with it. However, I have a right to not agree with it. He and I are on the same page there. So this person took it upon themselves, and don't trust. I have a lot of good sources that, including the FBI and other places, that say this man was not a Republican, this man was not conservative, he was nothing. He was in a relationship with a transgender person. And it's because of his ideals and his beliefs that he didn't agree with Charlie Kirk, so he shot him. I hate my neighbors. They always gotta be so loud. It's like they have one volume. I'm sorry. I'm not going to edit that out. I'm not going to edit that out. So when it comes time, when this guy just felt that he didn't like what Charlie Kirk was saying, so he took him out of this world. Like that was his right. Like he had the authority to just decide, this man deserves to die because I don't like what he's saying. And I hate to say it, but that is the ideology of the leftist. Now, all fairness, I am going to say this. Back in June, there were members of Congress that were on the Democratic Party, and a man he had a list, and he approached their house. He presented himself as a police officer, which is that's a big crime. He presented himself as a police officer, and when they opened the door, he shot them. He wounded two of them, and were a man and a wife in one house. And when he went to another one, they opened the door. He killed the husband. He killed the senator, and he killed their dog. And then the police showed up. That is equally as wrong. That was equally as wrong. I keep seeing things, people saying, well, nobody's talking out about it. Well, yeah, somebody is. I am. And I will tell you, it's equally as wrong. We have one person who was on one extreme who took out one man because he didn't like what he said. And you have one man who was trying to eliminate members of Congress because he didn't like what they said. He didn't agree with their political stance. My friends, I want you to understand something. What makes America a great country is that we do have opposing political parties. You can belong to either one. And you can vote for who you want to. I voted for who I wanted, and people who did not like that man, who still don't like that man, have told me I voted wrong. I voted wrong because it wasn't their candidate. They didn't stand for their views, their ideologies. Well, they didn't vote for the person that I voted for, but they didn't vote wrong. I'm going to tell you this right now. They didn't vote wrong. They voted their conscience. They voted for the person they thought was best for the job. That's it. Okay? I'm still on the Second Amendment here. I hope I didn't lose you here. The reason why we have the right to bear arms is when people are taking a political stance like that, when people are going, hey, you voted for the wrong person. No, I didn't. Not one party should be controlling more. Well, one party usually does control more than the other, but if you keep that ideology up, there is not going to be a two-party system. There's going to be one. That is not what our founding fathers went for. And I believe there was a lot more than just two parties to begin with. But that's what developed out of it, was two parties. So that's what we have. When we have this ideology on one side that says, if you don't think the way I do, you're wrong. And then another ideology that says, hey, you can whatever you do, that's your conscience. You have a right to act that way. You have a right to do that as long as you're not hurting people. Who cares, right? You have the right to free speech as long as you're not telling lies about people or belittling people or even being defamatory or I said the word earlier when I made a nice little post about it on Facebook. So if what you're doing isn't basically tearing down another person for no reason, or how can I say, without fact, without basis, without any kind of backing to support what you're saying, then you have every right to have that opinion as long as it doesn't infringe upon the rights of others. What I'm seeing are those rights being taken away. Well, the first one people are going for is guns. Get rid of guns. We need stricter gun laws. We need stricter this. We need stricter that. That's the way it's going to start. If we take away your right to defend yourself, your freedom, you're not going to be able to defend your freedom of speech. You're not going to be able to defend your freedom of religion. You won't be able to defend the rest of your rights. Wrong. For those people who want to start a war, for those people who are on that side, hollering and screaming that they're going to come and take our guns away because we're killing kids in school and we're killing people. And I have a few facts for you. You know, more people are killed by cars than guns, right? You know that? You're going to ban cars. You're going to put tighter restriction on cars, because I don't see that happening. I love to carry knives. I like knives. More people are killed by knives than guns. There's more people killed from stabbings than being shot. The only difference is you don't really have a lot of mass stabbings but you can't have mass shootings. What we have in this country isn't a gun problem. It's not a gun problem, people. What we have is a heart problem. We have people who do not value human life. We do have people who do not concern themselves with the person that is in front of them. If I don't like you and I don't like what you said, or I don't like the color of your skin, or I don't like your sexual orientation, I'm going to inflict harm on you. That's wrong. It's a wrong ideology. That's a wrong ideology. With that mentality right there, I'm gonna be like, no, you're not taking the Second Amendment. You're not gonna take it, because we need to protect ourselves from people like that. We need to protect ourselves from people who would seek to do harm. We would need to protect ourselves from people who would get a gun from somebody else and use it against us because we don't have one. What you do when you take away the common people's ability to defend themselves against foreign and domestic invaders, you are sending good people to the slaughter. You are preventing people from taking action. A good example would be a man walks into a busy restaurant, fast food place, say, and he decides he's going to rob the place. Well, somebody fights back, and now people are being shot but there's a one person in there that happens to have a gun that is not using it for evil purposes. And he takes that guy out, and maybe there's only 2 loss of life, not 20. Now imagine you're one of the people in there. You're without a gun. You're not doing anything to anybody. This guy comes in and tries to rob the place, and somebody does try to help, and you end up being shot. You end up being shot. You're one of the 20 victims now. And the man gets away because nobody could stop him. Now, I've said this to quite a few people, that I like when I see stores that have the little sign that says gun-free zone. I'm like, gee, thank you. You just told me if I'm some crazy lunatic that has a gun and I want to hurt people, that I can go into that establishment, do as much damage as I can, and walk out of there because nobody will stop me. There's not going to be anybody in there who will have another firearm that will stop me. I can do as much damage and nobody can do anything about it. I want you to keep that in mind. I want you to think about that, because when you say guns kill people, do they? Did the gun walk in by itself and do it? Another example that was given to me through a video, and it was almost hilarious. The person said, do cars drive you to work? No, a person drives the car. A person is in control of the vehicle and gets them to work. The car doesn't operate on itself. It doesn't do anything by itself. It is non-sentient. It is, it's an inanimate object. It can't act on its own. A gun cannot act on its own. It can only do something if there's an operator that uses it. I'm going to stress this to no end. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. in this country, and I have seen so much of it, it has made me sick to my stomach. The level of hate for people because they think differently, and the level of violence that those people do to those people who think different, people who think like I do. They act out against people like me because we don't think like them. They lash out at us. They come at us. They're violent toward us. We're not, I don't encourage violence toward people because they disagree with me. You want to disagree with me? Hey, it's a free country. You can disagree with me. You can disagree with me all day long. You can. You have every right. But when I present the facts, if you can't accept it, go ahead and walk away. Go ahead and walk away. It's not worth getting into a fight. It's not worth getting into physical violence until something acts upon your conscience where you see things differently. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. And if you are going to continue to believe that way, no matter what anybody tells you, well, then nobody can change your mind. Nobody can change your mind at all. I will talk about different subjects in this, but right now, and I mean this, just on the Second Amendment, just on the right to bear arms, I have had people stonewall me, just so closed-minded, they won't listen to anything. No matter how the facts you present, they sit there and they go, no, I believe what I believe and you're wrong. And I hate to say it, but that's the mentality of the extreme left. I won't just say liberals or the extreme left. We'll put it there. Because those are the ones that have the ideology of, if you don't agree with us, you need to be stopped. You're preaching hate. You're preaching poison. And I encourage any of you who are listening to this who don't like what I say, go ahead. Call me a Nazi. Go ahead. Call me a fascist. Call me anything else. But you have to understand, both regimes, the Nazis and the fascists, what they would do is they would prevent the other side from speaking. They took away the freedom of speech of those who disagreed with them, and they oppressed them to the point where people would either be forced to accept the ideology or die. So go ahead, call me a fascist. Go for it. Because the simple fact that if you're going to try to oppress my freedom of speech, my right to bear arms, my freedom of religion, my freedom to speak about my faith openly, while you get to do the exact same thing, but I can't because my views offend you, who's the fascist? Just so people know, I know this is getting to the end of the video. I'm about 30 minutes and I don't want to go too long. But just so you know, I'm not going to be very nice in these videos. I'm not going to be touchy-feely or anything of that nature. I'm going to be mean. I'm going to be harsh. I'm going to smack you around verbally. Not to incite violence, but yeah, I'm going to say things that are going to hurt your feelings. Yes, I know they're going to hurt your feelings, but I don't care because the truth hurts. The truth hurts. And if you got this far in the video, you probably noticed there's a quote at the beginning of the video, and it says, "Truth is not what you want it to be. It is what it is, and either you bend to its power or you live a lie. It's from Miyamoto Musashi. He was a swordsman in Japan. He wrote the Book of Five Rings. Very interesting book. If you'd actually like to expand your knowledge on things and learn something, maybe you need to pick up that book and read it. Very enlightening. I have that one. I have The Art of War, and I have the Hagakure, or what is also called the Code of the Samurai. I also have the Book of the I think it's the Book of the Samurai. Code of the Samurai. There, I have a lot, and I find that ideology, that not ideology, but the philosophy of that time period and that culture very interesting. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna be giving my views. You can like it, you can dislike it. It doesn't matter to me. Really, it doesn't. If something I say infuriates you, well, I'm not sorry. I'm not. All I have to say is maybe grow a spine. Stop being so touchy-feely. Stop being so soft, easily offended by things. You know, maybe get a sense of humor or something. Yeah. If I hurt your feelings, too bad. That's gonna be it. If I hurt your feelings, wah, grow up hair, do something. Go get a life. Stop bugging people. Stop irritating people and telling them they're wrong for thinking differently than you. All right, there you have it. Now, if you happen to be on that other side and I offended you, like I said, I don't care. I do hope you learned something. I want you to know that I don't hate you. I don't hate you. I don't know you. I can't hate you. Can't be hate speech if I don't know you to hate you. But I can disagree with you all day long. And honestly, if you want to disagree with me because you don't like what I said, well, you can disagree with me too. Like I said, it's a free country. We can disagree on things all day long, and we can agree to disagree on those same things. There you have it. I hope you'll have a good week. I'll probably try to do one a week. I'll probably ramble on for about 30 minutes or so and then put it out there. I do have a word of warning if anybody sees me on the streets and wants to get hostile. Don't. Just don't. It will not end very well for you. You put your hands on me and I guarantee you I will not be very nice. However, you come up and treat me with respect, I'll shake your hand, we'll be friends. That's it. I'm not going to hold anything against anybody. So, all right, I've talked long enough. Hey, thanks for watching this first episode. If you like it, share it. Great. This is on my Beneath the Ether channel, but this is a separate podcast from that. Same production, but separate podcast. That's why it's titled different, so that you know it's not the same. But I didn't feel like starting a whole new channel, and maybe after a while I'll change to Beneath the Ether to Molon Labe. So stay strong, Patriots. Stay strong. Don't back down. Don't relent. Don't compromise. and above all things, see this flag behind me? Douze Volt.